when I wanted to spend a couple minutes discussing the real reason why Trae Young was traded yesterday. Of course, Trae Young, who had been a Atlanta Hawk for his career, was moved to the Washington Wizards. Now, this is not the place to come if you want to get the ins and outs of the deal. He was traded for, of course, Corey Casper and CJ McCollum and what have you. Trae Young, but there's a reason behind the reason in regards to him being dealt, and Atlanta receiving no draft picks. Now, and by the way, I love the move for Atlanta. Absolutely love it. They have a budding star in Jalen Johnson. They have some talented young players who are only getting better. Dyson Daniels. And more importantly, they're going to have the New Orleans Pelicans pick, which could be the number one pick in the draft. And this is going to be a great draft, which could feature 3 or 4 all-stars and possibly 1 or 2 generational talents, at least one generational talented player. So Atlanta's in great shape from that standpoint. But Trae Young, who is a 4-time all-star, still only 27 years old, who for his career has averages of 25 points and almost 10 assists. Matter of fact, the only other player in NBA history to average 25 and 9 is Oscar Robertson. That's it. That's a list. Trae Young and Oscar Robertson. Been all NBA, led the Hawks to the conference finals in 2021, which seems like it was like 10 years ago. So you say to yourself, how could a guy of this magnitude, that accomplished, get traded, and the team who traded him receive no draft compensation? Well, here's what I'll say. Numbers don't matter. Numbers don't mean what they used to mean, right? So in today's NBA, you have currently 32 players averaging 20 points a game. 32. 2010, you only had 16. So that's double the amount of players averaging 20 points a game 15 years later, or 16 years later. Okay. But the biggest reason why I think Trae Young was traded, was moved, why Atlanta got no compensation for him, is because I think that, matter of fact, I know that the small guard in the NBA is almost borderline extinct. Trae Young is only 6'2". He is a defensive liability, okay? Great passer, okay shooter, not even a great shooter, okay shooter, but he is one of the worst defensive players in the league at his position, maybe one of the worst at any position. If you look at recent history in the NBA, just look at outside of Steph Curry, the shortest player to win Finals MVP in the last 25 years was Dwayne Wade in 2006 at 6'4". That's the shortest player to win Finals MVP. When you look at some of the dominant guards of this generation who have been smaller guards, three come to mind. Let's put Steph Curry aside. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of NBA history, and also I think people don't talk enough about his dribbling skills. He's one of the greatest ball handling guards in NBA history. So you combine those two talents, you have one of the top 12 players, 10 to 12 players in the history of the sport, and the second greatest point guard in the history of the sport behind Magic Johnson. Russell Westbrook, 6'3". Russell Westbrook, quite possibly the best pure athlete ever at the point guard position. We know one of the greatest rebounders, statistically the greatest rebounding guard of all time. Damian Lillard, Logo Lillard, 6'2", 6'3", but we know he could, similar to Steph Curry, he could pull from anywhere. Okay. And Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, about 6'1", maybe have pound for pound the best footwork of any player in NBA history. Those guys are anomalies for a reason. Small guards, again, look at the guys who have won Finals MVPs over the past 25 years. Durant has 2, Kawhi has 2, LeBron has 4, Kobe has 2. Giannis, Joker, Dirk Nowitzki. Andre Iguodala was 6'6". Jaylen Brown, 6'6". So the perimeter player in today's game, you gotta be between 6'6" and 6'8", 6'6", 6'9". There's basically almost no room for small guards anymore to dominate at a super high level. Even the guys I mentioned, Lillard and Westbrook, if we dive deeper in terms of their careers, Westbrook never was the best player. As the best player, Westbrook's teams never got past the first round. When Durant leaves, he takes the reins as the best player on the team. He wins the MVP in 2017. 2017, 18, 19, they go out in the first round. Lillard got his team to the conference finals in 2019. Outside of that, he basically was a one and done player in terms of when he was the best player on Portland. They would go out early in the first round or so. Guy's team got past the first round maybe, twice in his career. Maybe twice. He got past the first round twice in his career. Never got to the finals. Neither one of those guys, both Hall of Fame players, both top 75 players, never got to the finals. That's not by accident. So in today's era, a guy like Trae Young, he probably will get those days of him making like $40 or $50 million once he gets past his contract, those days will be over. Those days are done. If you're going to pay a guy that type of money, he better be he has to either be a two-way player or be a guy who is so dynamic offensively, like all-time great dynamic offensive type player like Luka is. So that is the reason why you can trade you would trade a guy that Trae Young gets traded and Atlanta gets no draft compensation for him whatsoever. That's the number one reason. Even the dumb teams were not willing to give Atlanta any draft picks to get Trae Young. And there are a few dumb teams in the NBA, as we all know. That's going to wrap it up for this brief edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Real thoughts, some Thursday thoughts. Enjoy the playoff game tonight. Ole Miss, Miami. I will talk to you in a couple of days. As we recap the NFL playoffs, the college football playoff, and certainly much, much more on the next edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Take it easy.